Hi, my name is Michelle Vieira. I'm the Chase and Deli Director at Carfagna's Market. And this right here, I have a special wheel of Parmigiano Reggiano. We're going to be breaking this down in a few minutes, but I just kind of wanted to talk about what's cool about it, why this wheel is so special to me, and why, I am excited about bringing this cheese in. So Parmigiano Reggiano, it's something we carry every day at Carfagna's Market. In the U.S., they tend to be about 24 months old. At minimum in Italy, it's at 12 months old. Usually for export, they're 18 plus. Generally, what we get is about 24 months. So what's interesting about this one, there's quite a few things that's pretty special about this wheel. I brought this wheel in special for Parmageddon, which is in a couple weeks, but I have a couple cool things about this wheel that this is kind of like my special novelty wheel that I brought in. So what's cool about Parmigiano Reggiano is I kind of like to think of it as like the tattoo bad boy. It's got a whole bunch of marks around it that tell a story. So one really great way to tell you have authentic Parmigiano Reggiano is going to be these pinpricks. They say Parmigiano Reggiano all the way around. So just to give you a little bit of a turn here, just to show you what it looks like all the way around. So it says Parmigiano Reggiano all the way around. Another thing that's pretty cool about it too is, so as they're making the wheel, it is stamped with the month and the date that it was made. So as I was saying, a lot of the wheels that I get are about 24 months old. This one is about 3.5 years old. This was made in September 2020. Here it is. So the SET is Setetro 2020, so September 2020. And then another thing as well is this guy here. This is what this wheel earned at 12 months old by the Parmigiano Reggiano Consortium. It's an arm of the Italian government. They come in, they inspect the wheels, and they have a very rigorous inspection. And, you might have seen videos of people taking hammers and hammering them, listening for imperfections. And, that's all part of it. Just hearing for any holes or cavities or whatever. You're looking for a consistent texture throughout the wheel. And once it passes that certification, it gets the Inspire brand on it. It says Parmigiano Reggiano to tell a consortium. So this guy right here, Parmigiano Reggiano, earns that distinction. And then what's interesting about this one as well, so all wheels have kind of the story being told along the sides of the cheese. With this wheel in particular is called Solo di Bruna Parmigiano Reggiano, so it's made with the milk of what's called the brown cow or the Bruna Alpina cow. They're a smaller cow that considered one of like the original 3 breeds making Parmigiano Reggiano before the Industrial Revolution. After the Industrial Revolution, Holsteins kind of were the star of the show. They're the really big, iconic black and white cows you think of when you think of cows. They make the most milk, therefore you can have less of them and you can make more milk to make more Parmigiano Reggiano. So a lot of farms kind of strayed away from like these smaller breeds that make less milk. But a benefit of it is that though they make less milk, they make higher quality milk. So this is one of the original 3 breeds. This is the Bruna Alpina, which is the brown cow. And so this one has a unique marking because it is brown cow on the top here. So all wheels Parmigiano Reggiano have that story being told. And all wheels have a numerical code saying the creamery that's from. So this one is 2361. It's rooted to Società Agricola di Piscina. What's interesting about this one is, so since this one is the brown cow, it's got the kind of like cow markings on the sides here, and then on the inside it says Solo di Bruna, and then it says the name of the creamery as well. So it says Casa Pizio Piscina as well. So that's kind of a unique thing with this specific wheel. Most wheels, if it doesn't have that distinction, this will just be blank, bottom will just be blank. Another thing that's pretty cool too about the top here, this is actually technically the bottom of the wheel. This has got the case-in plate, but this is what's called a case-in plate. This is placed on the wheel as it's being made, and it's got a QR code, which also you can scan on the Parmigiano Reggiano website, links back to the farm as well. So, what's cool about Parmigiano Reggiano being so tightly regulated is it's very traceable. You can see the day that it was made, you can see when and where it was made. This producer is in Parma, so it's the same region as like prosciutto Parma as well. So Parmigiano Reggiano is pretty cool because it is very, very tightly regulated, as I was saying, and it can only be made in 5 regions in Italy. So Parma, and then there's also Reggio Emilia, obviously part of the Reggio Reggiano looks back to that. Parma, Brit is Parmigiano. Bologna to one of the sides of the Reno River, and then Mantua on the other side of Po River, and then Manna as well. There are the 5 regions. So pretty small part of Italy. It's all the kind of northern part of Italy, and they're all kind of together. They're all pretty small areas. So pretty mountainous region. So another kind of distinctive wheel you can get. I got this for the first Parmageddon was Parmigiano Reggiano di Montagna. So it's made at a certain altitude, and the cows can only eat the grasses of the flora and fauna at a certain altitude in the mountains. This one, Parma's a pretty mountainous region. This doesn't have the Montagna designation, but it pretty much follows those standards as well. So what's cool about novelty wheels is since, Parmigiano Reggiano is like super, super strict. It's a very consistent wheel. Every wheel is spectacular. But then you have certain wheels that are just like even better, even more magical. And that's kind of what I love about bringing in these like really cool, really rare wheels to Parmageddon, because it's a opportunity to try something really cool that is a little bit harder to find. The other 3 kind of original breeds. So this is the brown cow. There's also a red cow, Parmigiano Reggiano. The breed's called the Razza Reggiana. And the rarest of the 3 is called white cow Parmigiano Reggiano. And that breed is almost extinct. It's called the Bianca Modenese cow. There's maybe like 2 or 3 dairies in Italy that make this wheel, and like 1 that exports. So very, very hard to get your hands on. But yeah, so we'll go over tools real quick, and I'll get this cracked. So I have a bunch of really cool tools that I actually got from the Parmigiano Reggiano Consortium. So as I was saying before, it's they're the government arm of the Italian government. So they're the folks that inspect the wheels, make sure that it is to the quality standards that it needs to be at. And those standards are super, super, super high, a lot higher than most other cheeses. So the traditional way to break down a wheel of Parmigiano Reggiano is with these special tools. You can certainly use a knife, you can certainly use a wire, but I really like to, especially when breaking down a full wheel, use these special tools, because it's a great way to kind of call back to the centuries old tradition of breaking down these wheels. So this guy right here, this is called score. So this little nub in here, I'm going to create a line down the wheel. And what that does is that's going to give, as I'm cracking, it's going to give a direction for that crack. Because if I don't score it, it's going to kind of go spider marks, go in a bunch of different directions. With this, it's going to crack along that line. So that's a very important tool It's also a very important tool as a cheesemonger because sometimes you have stubborn wheels and sometimes you got to score it for that wire to bite. So, very important tool for us. This guy is kind of a stiletto spade, I think is kind of what it's called, but basically it's a big long dagger. This is my favorite of all of these, especially for breaking down wheels. I like how thin and precise your cuts are with it. It's really nice and sharp. This specific one from the consortium also has these little like bite serrated edges as well, which are pretty cool. And yeah, so all of these are branded with Parmigiano Reggiano branding. And then these two I use less, but I think are worth mentioning. So this guy's the kind of like more of a wedge tool, which is, like I said, I use it a little bit less. It's a little bit duller. It's surprisingly sharp down here, but this is a great one for, like, let's say you have the wheel and you're flaking off pieces for people to try. This is a great tool for that because it gets you a really nice broad flake off of it. And this guy, I kind of use this one the least. Usually by the time I'm breaking down pieces, I'll use a wire, but this guy's great for if you're like cutting into, so you have your strips that you make and you're cutting pieces off of those strips. This is great for that. It's really nice and long, so you can really get deep into that piece pretty consistently. So there is less opportunity for it to kind of flake. So yeah, you ready to craft?
Let's do it.
Okay. So, I'm talking about what's cool about Parmigiano Reggiano. So, some differences between Parmesan versus Parmigiano Reggiano. So, what I'm doing right now, I'm working this score all the way around. So, what I like to do is I create a little bit of the lip off of the table. So as I'm pulling this down, pull out of this part of the situation. Alright. So, and continue scoring all the way down. So, Parmesan versus Parmigiano Reggiano. So, Parmesan is kind of an Anglicization of the word Parmigiano, which is what the Italians said. The English were like, we can't say that. So they started saying Parmesan. So, today Parmesan is kind of what's considered what's called a common name. So, kind of like how all squares are rectangles, non-rectangles are squares. All Parmigiano Reggiano is Parmesan, but all Parmesan is Parmigiano Reggiano. Parmigiano Reggiano is a very specific cheese. Parmesan can be made anywhere. Parmigiano Reggiano can only be made in Italy and those couple regions. Another thing also that's unique about Parmigiano Reggiano is it is always made with raw milk. So the milk is never pasteurized, just the milk is never heated above body temperature, which is important because that kind of maintains the flora and fauna in the milk, all the good bacteria, which results in a very healthy cheese and results in a very good for your gut biome cheese. So what I'm doing here, I'm just kind of walking my way down here. So I start at the corners because the corners are kind of the thickest part of the rind. If you think about it, it kind of does this a little bit. So I always start at the corners, and then I'll flip this up real quick so you can see what's going on here. But yeah, so you're getting a little bit of a crack on each side of these spades. And what I'm doing is I'm going to go kind of in between these bits to get a nice clean break. So I'm going to start my way this way. So I'm going to go between these, and I'm just doing a really nice, steady walk down, giving it a little bit of a wiggle, but I'm still pretty steady with it. So what I do from here is I'm going to walk my way around this wheel. So I got those two. I'm going to go right in the middle of this. All right, and then I'm going to do the loud part again. It's going to do a dang as I flip. Put that down. All right. Okay. So we're there. We're going to go in the corner here. Because again, that's the thickest part of this ride. Here, a little bit of split. And then I just kind of walk my way down. I just walk the middle one at this point down. You're starting to hear it kind of split a little bit. I'm going to get it in this casing plate here.
Should be able to get it in the corner here, and that should not bad. There we go. While do I here? There. Yep, there we go.
So from here, you ready? All right. So we're gonna pull this one this way, this one this way. So 1, 2, 3.
Ham.
More a little bit here.
There we go. All right.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Slit.
Can you tell us that in a minute? So that on a full wheel. Okay, now it's thinking about it. All right. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Now we're split. Took a minute, but we got there. So yeah, so the cross section of this wheel is gorgeous. Kind of looks like mountain bits, and those little bits off of this wheel are the best bites. Yeah, so this wheel in particular is really nice and sweet. You get those pineapple notes that you get in Parmigiano Reggiano. You get those brown butternuts. But yeah, it's a lovely feast. Parmigiano Reggiano was one of the most umami-rich foods of the world. That just, to me, those are two of the most umami-rich cheeses. You get that little bit of a tingle in the back of your jaw when you're trying to bite. Back in the day, I used to crack wheels before 8 a.m. on regular. I used to sit at that first flake, wake me up better the coffee. So what I'm doing here is I'm just breaking this down into quarters here. So, same deal as cracking the full wheel. I'm going to flip it this side so I can get both sides, but we're just going to do another bit here where I'm stabbing in the corners. Getting a nice push down. And same deal, I'm just going to go in the middle here. We're just catching this back here.
Thank God I forgot. So back here. Right up that.
So another advantage of the score is it kind of helps the cheese assume the crack, even if you haven't necessarily stabbed in that spot. So yeah, no way of quarter. It's really nice. And the cranny edges. But yeah, that's Parmigiano Reggiano. Pretty cool cheese. More than dust for your boss. So, Parmageddon is coming up on June 14th through 16th. I'm going to be cracking into the other wheel of this on June 15th at 2 p.m. Please feel free to come by and check us out. I'm going to have a bunch of cheese samples. Get to try 24 with Parmigiano versus this guy versus Carfagna versus some Pecorino Romano. And then we're going to have cheese wheel pasta. We're going to have wine samples. We're going to have some pretty sick merch this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a really great time. It's our favorite weekend of the year. It's a celebration of all things Parmigiano Reggiano.